So you're in your second year university and you've taken that brave step to trying to secure a placement year in order to get ahead of everyone else. And if you're just thinking, it's just a simple process, right? Apply, get the role, and you're set. Wrong. And if you're watching this, you're probably a very high achiever, very ambitious, very good looking. You're aiming for top companies like Deloitte, KPMG, Unilever, Samsung, etc. But the reality is that thousands of students are applying for the same role, and the competition is absolutely brutal. And having just good grades is not enough. And if you're new here, hi, my name is Uzair Mohammed, and for my placement here, I applied to over 70 placement schemes, and I finally got one at Samsung Electronics. And in this video, I'll show you my exact step-by-step process which you can use to land a placement year at your dream company. And if you have not subscribed, don't worry, let me earn it by the end of this video. Now let's go. So what is a placement year? A placement year, industrial placement, sandwich year, all mean the same thing. They are basically a year-long paid work experience program as part of a university degree, and it usually takes between your second and your final year, so just a year before your final year. You basically work as like a full-time employee and get paid like a regular staff member. Internships usually last maybe a few weeks or a few months. However, a placement year lasts to 12 to 13 months. During a placement year, you will gain proper work experience skills, you make valuable connections, and massively increases your chance of getting a graduate job after university. And that is why I'm such a massive fan of doing a placement year. To this day, me and my friends always say, oh, I'm so glad I did a placement year, because I see so many people struggling right now to get a graduate job. That's because the job market right now, especially the graduate job market, is extremely brutal and is even more competitive. Because think about it, you're going to be competing against people who have just graduated, about to graduate, and it's been maybe a year or two since they graduated. So you're going to be competing with all those kind of people. So you need a placement year to really differentiate yourself from all the other candidates. I'll be making more videos on graduate jobs soon, so subscribe to stay in touch. So where to find placement roles? So I really like LinkedIn to find placement roles. You can just search up on the search bar for LinkedIn and then just type your industry and then placement year. For example, I can just write business placement years or marketing placement year or finance placement year, etc. You can also see who works in that company, so I'll cover it more later in the video on how to really make connections and talk to people who already work there. So Rate My Placement is really good for finding placement roles, because not only will you get the roles which are being shown, but you also see the reviews by students who've actually been there and done their placement year in that company, and also see what ratings there are in terms of working there. Finding placement roles in company website is another option. Some companies, like for example Tesla, they don't really put it on job boards like Rate My Placement or LinkedIn. You kind of have to go within the company website and find within the career website to find if there are any placement schemes available within that section. It's kind of annoying, but hey, it is what it is. Another one is University Careers Portal. This one's really good. Make sure to always check your university job board every morning, see what placement roles come out. Usually the most fresh ones just come out within the university job board, so yeah, have a look out. So here is Uzairs Top Tip. Pro tip. Set a goal to apply to 3 placement schemes every single day. Every morning, wake up and apply to 3 placement schemes. They usually open at late July or August, but mostly in September and October, especially the good ones. They usually start at September, October. So yeah, and make sure to track them in a Notion or Excel template kind of thing to really stay organized. I've made a free Notion placement tracker template for you to download in the description. So yeah, utilize this free resource. So how to research the role and company before you apply. So you see all these placement schemes, and before you apply, don't wait. You need to tailor them first. So you want to follow this process. Number 1 is read the job description. What skills are they looking for? What software or tools do they expect that you should kind of know? For example, is it Excel? What values does the company highlight which matches your values in order for you to feel happy working there? Number 2 is go on a website called Glassdoor and read the company employee reviews. This is where all the ex-employees leave a little review on how it's like working in that company. Also, you can also find previous interns or previous placement students who work there and see what they're saying about working there. Maybe you can find if any of the placement students say they've got a good graduate scheme offer after working there as a placement student. Number 3 is message current placement students on LinkedIn. So this is a bit of a bonus one. So if you're very comfortable doing it, definitely do so. It can be really valuable. So I know I did when I was looking for my placement year. I was basically messaging current placement students at the companies and just asking them things like, how was your experience? What tips do you have for the application process, or any tips that can really make me really likable from the interviewer? Or does the company offer any graduate scheme roles after placement year? If the company really aligns with what you're looking for and you are happy, then it's really the best time to apply. The last thing I want you to is just apply to a random company. Sure, you get placement year, but if you're gonna really hate working there for the whole year, then it's definitely not worth it. There are plenty of companies will treat you right, and I've heard stories of placement students who have not been treated right, and it really sucks because you're going to be there spending time for the whole year. So yeah, definitely do your research before you apply for the best company you want to work for. Now it's time for the application process. So if you're going to apply to large corporate companies, this is how it's going to go, and this is what was for me at Samsung. At stage 1, you submit your application. This is your CV and your cover letter and additional questions like do you have the right to work here, etc. So really make sure your CV is tailored towards the role. So really use ChatGPT to really help you with this. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I've done a video right here where I cover slightly on how to use ChatGPT to really tailor your CV and cover letter towards that role. And make sure to highlight any relevant work experience, even if it's just university projects or charity stuff, etc. Just write it down. So at stage 2, this is where the ATS tracking system scans your CV. So many companies, especially massive ones, use something called an ATS system, which stands for Application Tracking System, to scan multiple CVs. I mean, think about it. HR is not going to read 18,000, 20,000 applications. They're going to use some AI software to really scan the whole CVs and find the right ones which suit to the role. And this is why tailoring is very important. If your CV doesn't match the job description, it will immediately get rejected by the ATS system. So really make sure to use the keywords within the job description and include it within your CV and cover letter. I've talked about it on the video that I showed previously on internships and how to really do this. So stage 3 is psychometric test, and this is where you cover numerical, verbal reasoning, logical reasoning, etc. So if the ATS system really likes your application, you will get an invite to do a psychometric test. These are like very basic timed online tests to really assess your problem solving skills, etc. You don't want to get on board straight away with the tests. You want to kind of practice beforehand, and a great website to practice, which I used, was Grudges First. And make sure to kind of practice your basic GCSE level maths like fractions, percentages, etc. because numerical reasoning is basically a very common test in every single psychometric test. I don't think that maths is the hard bit, it's the time which is hard bit, because you have a low amount of time and you need to answer as many questions as possible within that time frame. It kind of assesses your speed, accuracy and solving skills. Now for stage 4 is a video recorded interview, usually done from HireVue. So if you pass your psychometric test, great, you will get an invite to do a recorded interview. Usually it's only like 3 to 5 questions and they are shown on the screen, and you have like a time limit to record your response and say it. You can also have multiple attempts. Some companies might give you multiple attempts on recording a response, whereas other companies will only give you maybe 2 or 3 maximum attempts to record your response, and usually have like about 2 minutes to 3 minutes to record your answer and say it. You'll have really common questions like tell me about yourself. By the way, I've done a video right here on how to really answer this tell me about yourself question so well that it's basically a guaranteed job, so check it out. Another question might be like, why do you want to work for this company? Another question would be, for example, give me a time or an example where you showed leadership skills. This is where you want to practice using the STAR framework. You probably heard it already, STAR framework, STAR, and it stands for situation, task, action, result. I'll make more videos on how to really answer the best way to all of these kind of questions, so subscribe if you want to see those. And the final stage is stage 5, which is the assessment center. This is basically a full day assessment event, and it's usually made in 3 parts. Part 1 will be a one-to-one interview with yourself and the company employee and HR employee. Part 2 will be a group task to see really how you work well within the team. Just remember, it's not about getting the task right within the team, it's about how you communicate and how you are as an individual, so no stress. And number 3 is a presentation on a business case study, which they've kind of emailed you a week before to prepare for and come back to them and present it to them. It's usually like a 5 to 10 minute presentation. For example, when I was doing my assessment center for Samsung, I had to present a business case on digital marketing strategies, and the topic was how to get more sales on Samsung.com rather than John Lewis, Amazon, Argos, etc. By the way, if you have any questions so far on anything, just put it in the comments and I'll make a video on those and make sure to help you in the best way as possible. So final Uzairs top success tips for getting a really good placement here. My best tip is to apply early and stay consistent. So remember how I said that, or maybe I didn't include in the video, but remember how I said that applications usually usually start within late July, August. So make sure you start preparing your CV and your cover letter from June. The earlier you start, the better, because you need to be very organized, because now you're going to be handling university and be applying placement year. So it's going to be very, very tedious job. Apply to 3 companies a day, no questions asked, and just keep them tracked in a Notion template which I provided, or make your own if you want. And if you get rejected emails, that's completely fine. Just keep applying. Rejection is usually very normal. Most of the time, even if you think you are the best candidate and you've got all the skills and you apply and you get rejected for no reason, it's very, very normal. So don't think it's a you issue. It's just how the company is. It's a company issue. They're not lucky to have you. And like I said, use a placement tracker. Track where you applied, your deadlines, when the next interview is, when you have to finish the assessment by, the dates of the interviews, etc. Just have a nice Notion template or something that you can track everything. I really recommend you using the Notion template which I made for you down below. It's very, very simple. Also, network. I know it's such a boring term, but listen, it can really make you be ahead of all the other candidates who are going to be applying. I really recommend you messaging current placement students or current interns or ex-placement students about working at that company that you're going to be applying for. Also attend any university career fairs and talk to recruiters to really get your name out if you're going to apply, because you might see them in the assessment center and that's going to help you a bit and give you the edge. Really leverage your LinkedIn to get good insights. Make sure to also prepare for interviews. Make sure to use AI like ChatGPT to really structure your answers. By answers, I meant your interview answers. Use Graduate First or some sort of psychometric test helper to really practice your numerical reasoning, your verbal reasoning, your logical reasonings, which are all shapes and patterns, etc. You kind of need to practice them. You want to get ahead of everyone else. So if you start practicing the earlier as you can, it's going to really help you. Also, make sure you record yourself with the interview questions and keep improving every single time. For example, me and my brother, we used to sit on Zoom calls, just him in the other room, me in the other room, and we just used to kind of practice on each other on interview questions like, tell me about yourself, tell me a time where you showed communication skills, tell me a time where you showed leadership skills, etc. So that really helped us get in the flow of answering interview questions, like the way you sit, the posture, the hand movement, etc. It helps you be very, very confident on camera. And my last tip is stay positive and handle rejection well. Just remember, rejection isn't personal, it's just redirection. I always say this to the people who get rejected all the time. Rejection is redirection. Because I remember when I applied to this company, it was a small tech company, and I got rejected and I was so upset. But that rejection redirected me to Samsung, because as the rejections happened, I got better and better and better. And finally at Samsung, I did it, and yeah, I got the role. So if I can do it, you can definitely do it. So yeah, you want to learn from every single interview mistake and get better for the next one. If you, for example, didn't prepare for an interview question that came up, no problem. Just make sure next time you note that question down so you're prepared for the next time anyone asks you. Just remember, if I got rejected 70 times and I finally landed one at one of the biggest tech companies in the world, you can definitely do it. I promise you, you just got to put the work in. Don't let rejection scare you, and just keep it consistent and keep applying and keep going. And if you're still trying to figure out if a placement here is even worth it, or even if it's valuable or not, I've done a video right here on if doing a placement year is even worth it or not. Hope this video has helped. Stay blessed and take care.